Hello everyone, welcome to Winged Horse Designs. I'm Donna Goodwin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in the United States. This week I'm bringing you this cute little, oops, let me see if I can get it so the light hits it. This cute little hexagon shaped box. So on the top it looks like a pinwheel, and then you just simply, and I have, this one's empty so that I don't spill anything as I try to open it, but you just simply take a hold of one of the tabs and pull it out from underneath, and then pull another one out, and then eventually that helps you open up the whole top of it so that you can get to what's inside. So I think you're really going to enjoy this hexagon shaped box. So let's switch cameras and get started on this week's project. The products we're going to use for this cute little box, I'm using the So Sentimental today. This has some wonderful greetings in it for lots of different occasions. I can't thank you enough. Your friendship is a blessing. This calls for confetti that I used last week. But today we're going to use Yummalicious because I plan on putting confection sweets inside of it. We're going to bring in the this circle here from the layering circles. If you have a circle punch on hand that fits the bottom of your box, then you could use a punch. And we're also going to bring in two other punches. We're going to bring in Label Me Lovely, which matches that stamp set, and we're going to bring in the small bloom punch, which matches the designer series paper that we're going to use today. For our ink color, we're going to use one ink color. We're going to use Coastal Cabana. And then for our paper, we are going to use this designer series paper. It's in the coordination items, so you won't find it in the catalog, but I'll put the link to it here in the description and you'll be able to find it there. So the piece I picked has these beautiful little flowers on one side, very springy, very bright, and on the other side it has these stripes, and I love stripes, so I decided we were going to do it with stripes. You'll need a piece of scrap Whisper White to do your label with, and then you're going to need two circles, either punched or in my case I cut them out with the layering circles dies, and I chose Daffodil Delight to go with the yellow. So let me bring in the Simply Scored tool and we'll do our scoring. Now I found this project over on a demonstrator from the United Kingdom. Her name is Linda Parker. She did this back in 2017, and she got her idea from the Paper Pixie, who did this smaller version that holds a Ferrero Rocher or Lindor truffle. This time I did it with the flowers on the outside and the stripes along the top. So I'll put the measurements for both the petite one, which would be great for like a little wedding favors at everybody's plate setting or any kind of a party, and I'll put the measurements for this one that's designed to hold the orange chocolate, the chocolate that looks like an orange that I couldn't find because they are kind of seasonal. So on our 10.5 inch side, we are going to score at 1.5 inches, 3 inches, 4.5 inches, 6 inches, 7.5 inches, and 9 inches. We're going to rotate it over to our short side, and we're going to score at 1 5/8, which is, and then we're going to score at 4 inches. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish on each of these score lines. So we have, it's kind of hard to see on this side. Maybe we can see a little bit better on this side. I'll hold on both directions so that you can see a little bit better. So you have one side that's a little bit shorter and one side that's a little bit longer, and this side is actually the same as this side. If you want to adjust this and make it taller, then you would want to make sure that this gets scored the same distance from the edge and this gets scored the same distance from the edge, and that your height is in the centerpiece only. So we're going to start by cutting this square up here off. I'm going to flip it over this way. So we're going to cut this square here off because I'm going to use the stripes for my outside piece. So I'm just going to slightly notch in because this side's going to become our little flap that holds our box together. And then I'm going to cut up each of these score lines. And we now have all of these that are cut. So in order to cut the top, it's slightly different. Instead of cutting up the score lines, we're going to cut from the corner to the corner. So we're going to start in this first piece by cutting from the corner to the corner of the score line. If you have long scissors, it's much easier. If you're concerned about being able to get a straight cut, you could come in with a ruler and a score tool and score each of those, or take a ruler and a pencil. And again, I'm just going to cut this along this score line. So this piece gets thrown away. And then this piece is going to become our flap. So let's just go ahead and cut that off right now. And stripes make it easy. You want about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch. And I'm just going to notch that so it'll fit in better. And so your one side looks like this. And then we're just going to cut from the edge of the score line to the corner of the score line. So from corner to corner along these, down these rectangles. I'm just going to fold that under so that I can see where the next one is. So I'm going to cut from the corner of the score line to the corner of the other score line on a diagonal. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way across. And then on our last one, we're going to cut from the score line to the corner of that score line, and this piece will get thrown away. So now what we have is we have all of these little pieces here. So since this is the front of my box, I'm going to turn it this way. Oops. Upside down. So since I want this to be the front of my box, we are going to fold these in on themselves. So I'm actually going to set it this way so you can see what I'm doing. And I know that I want my, whoops, folding the wrong way, sorry. There we go, want to be on the inside. So I'm just going to fold all these flaps over so you can see what we're doing. So I'm going to fold along the fold line so that you end up with like a flag effect here. And I'm just going to set my finger here because I know that in here is where I want my glue. And that just helps me keep the glue only in the part where it's going to be folded over on itself. You could use mini glue dots, you could use tear and tape, you could use whatever you want. I'm just going to go ahead and put in a little bit of glue so that we end up with this flag, and we're going to do that all the way down. And then we have what looks like a bunch of little flags. Like if you go to an amusement park, you know how they put up all those flags going in the same direction? So we have that effect. So we just need to glue our box together. So I'm going to fold over on the first score line and put glue on this little flap. Again, you can use whatever your favorite adhesive is. I recommend and then we can fold over on the second score line from this direction. It should line right up on top of it. You could use any adhesive that you like as long as it's a strong adhesive. So I wouldn't recommend necessarily a double-sided adhesive. So I'm going to take all these flaps and I'm going to fold them back down the other way so that I can set my box this way. And then we're going to work bringing these flaps in, but we want them to line up so that we get a nice good shaped hexagon. So those are lined up there, which means the next two should be lined up, and then the bottom two. So in order to have some wiggle room as I'm doing that, I'm just going to put a mini glue dot on this. And I'm just going to put one so that it can shift a little bit. So I'm going to start by putting that one in, and hopefully that one looks like it might be a little bit too deep in on the one side. We want a little bit further apart than that. And then we'll come in this way and we'll get these lined up straight. And then we'll bring in our final two and get them lined up straight. And by lining these up straight, it helps give us a perfect hexagon shape. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in one of those circles that I had die cut and glue it on the outside edge. And let's get a little bit closer to the edge here, because I really want these edges to hold this box together. And I'm going to flip it, hopefully without sliding around. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just going to use my bone folder, get down in there and get some good burnishing on that glue to get it to stick together. And then we're going to put another one on the inside, because that just gives us a finished look. That way we don't see all those flaps, and we have a nice finished look on the inside. So it adds stability and it gives us a finished look. So we'll drop that down inside so that we have a nice finished look instead of seeing all those flaps. So again, I'm going to reach down in here with something tall like my bone folder and just burnish that to give that all those glue pieces a chance to really adhere. So what that does is that holds your box together. So now we would put our treats inside. And we're going to start by folding two flaps over each other. And the key is this little piece right here, this little connection right there. So now each little flap folds in behind it and comes into this little joint. And you just keep going around, so from the bottom, around and into this little joint. The hardest one, of course, is the last one. Get into that little joint. And you get this cute little fun, like almost like a pinwheel look on the top of your box. And if you look at the profile, then you can see that it's definitely something a little bit different. So all we need to do is our decoration for the top. So we'll bring in our scrap piece of white and our ink. We're just going to stamp that. And we're going to bring in that Label Me Lovely punch and punch that out. Of course, you could use any sentiment and any punch that you like. And then I chose, rather than to bring in another stamp set and stamp the flowers, this punch goes perfectly with the Thoughtful Blooms, which is also a celebration item. The punch is free with a $100 order, and then the stamp set that matches it is free with a $50 order. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to punch out some of these little blooms from the Designer Series paper. And I'm not going to worry about this piece where the petals pushed off, because we can always put that underneath. So I'm going to punch out 4 or 5 of these flowers. And so we have a rose one and a mango melody. How about a coastal pool party one and a coastal cabana one? What are we missing? There's no purple in that one. There's no purple in this piece either. Let's see if I can find some. Ah, here's a purple one. Let's do a purple one too. And so we have about 5 flowers that we can put together now. And I'm just going to bring in the mini glue dots, and I'm going to work my flowers around this for right now. So I'm going to put a mini glue dot on the front of this one because this had the broken petal, and I'm just going to tuck it up underneath here, and then you can't even tell that there was a broken petal. So here's another one with a broken petal. So don't let those pieces go to waste. And let's just tuck that up underneath there. And then we'll put this one on the top. And then we'll put this mango melody one that has a chopped off petal underneath our label again. And put our coastal cabana one that has all of these flowers. Let's do a dimensional on that one. So I'll bring in a mini dimensional. We'll pop that one up. There we go. And then we need some jewels, right? Some rhinestones. So I have some that I colored for another project way back when. I'm not even sure what color I used. I used an alcohol marker. It might be dark daffodil light, or it might be the mango melody. But it's got a nice yellow color to it. So we'll use those for the insides of for the centers of our flowers. We'll just add some of those to the centers. Down in there underneath the ones at the bottom as well. Let's tuck this one in on that flower, just so that it peeks out from underneath. Since this isn't a card, it's not being mailed, so we don't have to worry about bulk. And then let's take some dimensionals and let's put them just at the top and the center of this on the back side. We're going to leave the bottom loose so that we can tuck our ribbon in underneath it. So I'm going to find the seam. There we go, there's the seam. Let's make that the back of the box. So that'll make this the inside of our box, or front of our box, and we're just going to put it up here because we don't want these flowers to go below the bottom of the box so it'll stand, but it doesn't matter if they go above the box on the top. So we just need to add our ribbon. And I brought in the Daffodil Delight Ruched ribbon. It's 1/4 of an inch. It's 1/4 of an inch wide. So we're just going to bring that in. And I'm going to tuck it underneath this label. And I'm just going to spin it over to another side to make it easier to tie, and then we can adjust it. And of course, tying a bow is always easier off screen than on screen. we'll just trim off our ends. And now we can take our ribbon and spin it around and get it just kind of tucked in with the flowers and with our label. And there you have a huge little treat box that you could put a small gift in, or you can put some candies in. Like I said, it is designed perfectly for the chocolate orange. I wonder if maybe the mini cupcakes, if you could fit a mini cupcake in here. Not the big new jumbo ones, which you could probably, depending on the height of your frosting, maybe fit in a cupcake in there if you wanted to. But you can fill it with all different kinds of treats. So I hope you enjoyed this week's project, and I'll see you next week with something different. Have a great week, everyone. Happy trails.